Hey everyone, thank you for clicking play and making it this far. My name is Tobias Edwards, and this is the first episode I put together for what I really hope to be a continued podcast, video podcast series, whatever you want to call it. Like the rest of you, I'm in quarantine right now due to the current pandemic, and last week, like many of you, I was laid off. So I thought to myself, why not make some positive quarantine content? During all this uncertainty and time spent alone, it's inspired a lot of thought around some of the bigger questions. Where am I in life? Am I where I want to be? I just turned 30 last month. Am I doing all the things I've wanted to? So I came to my own revelation. I'm in a position where, one, I need to stay busy. There's only so many job applications to put in per day in a very difficult job market. And two, why not keep busy by doing that one thing I've always wanted to? So what I'm doing right now is a manifestation of that, something I've been afraid to do for years and years. I've been afraid of what others might think. I've been afraid of what my employer would think, afraid of having to listen to the sound of my own voice, which I hate, and so on. So quite frankly, they're all BS excuses, so here we are. I love editing videos in Final Cut Pro. I love exploring interesting topics and speaking to interesting people. This is my attempt to do all three of those things. For this episode, I'm doing just the first two because I don't have any interviews lined up quite yet. So welcome, enjoy episode 1, where I'm going to cover an individual in a book which has had a profound impact on my life and in many ways was the catalyst for what you are seeing right now. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you.
And it's so good, I bought a stack of them, and I kept it in my office. And when podcast guests would come over, I would go, "Come here, you lazy bitch. Take this and go write. Go get something done, man. Get something done. Make it happen." And the inspiration of that book, it really works, man. Your book, like, it inspires me to get more shit done. Like, you have unwittingly, or wittingly, knowingly or unknowingly, you've like set an avalanche of creativity loose with your book.
Well, like I say, I brought you a half a dozen of these, Joe, so you can give them out to deserving, worthy recipients.
Yeah, I was one of those.
And there we have Joe Rogan eloquently explaining how the book we will be discussing today, called The War of Art, has impacted him. So much so, he evangelized it to his guests he had on his podcast. And there's no better way to know your art is worth something than when someone starts selling it to others at no charge to you. So again, the book is The War of Art, Break Through the Blocks and Win Your Inner Creative Battles, written by Steven Pressfield. I had mentioned this was the book that really inspired the start of me doing something like this, what you're seeing right now. So I thought, what better place to start? So Pressfield is a screenwriter and author. He writes historical fiction, military fiction, and nonfiction. The latter being what this book is. It's a nonfiction book. Once I watched the episode of Joe Rogan Experience, I ordered the book and then sped through it in a day. It's an easy read, and it accomplishes that incredible feat where an author can distill some extremely heavy thematic material into a really simple and accessible format. And when I say that, I'm not saying the material isn't thought-provoking. It's incredibly thought-provoking, very deep. Just stylistically, it's one of those that you can finish in a matter of hours. It's not War and Peace, basically. So I'm going to draw on some of the main themes of the book and how I understand them and have applied them to my life. The War of Art has 3 main themes. We begin with Pressfield defining what it is that's stopping you from working towards a higher pursuit in life, what Pressfield calls resistance. This work can be anything from starting a business, getting in shape, being a better husband, or beginning an artistic endeavor. This does not include anything that has an immediate short-term payoff. These are things that take time, dedication, and ultimately are noble and ethical pursuits. He then goes on to outline how overcoming this hurdle means going pro, breaking through the blocks of self-doubt, procrastination, and social stigma, and start making those tangible steps, sitting down and getting to work. Because it's just that. It's executing the work, not the end result, that matters to the pro. And finally, Pressfield explains how a successful pro will reach a state of transcendence, what he calls embracing the muse. In this reality, the professional isn't constrained by the common hurdles that stop the amateur from executing their craft. The pro doesn't remain within the tribal hierarchy of their peers. The muse, like a guiding spirit, drives all their creative output and continues to design a fulfilling reality for the pro. Okay, let's begin with this idea of resistance. Within the first few pages, Pressfield basically hits you right in the face with all the things you have wished to accomplish, but seemingly never really took the time to pursue or always had that good excuse for. It's not gentle, there's no dancing around the subject. It's very sobering because you realize just how much you have wanted to do, but never been able to. Or better put, you realize what it is behind the excuses, behind the procrastination. And it is this idea of resistance. The failure to accomplish these things are not because of circumstances beyond the individual's control, but entirely due to all the things in one's control. And that's an important distinction because it offers some real hope and doesn't promote victimhood or the idea that there are things that you just can't do. Resistance, very simply, is self-sabotage, and it comes in many forms. They say the devil comes wearing many disguises, all of them very appealing. So I'll cover 3 forms of resistance that really struck a chord in me and what are, I believe, universal to the human experience. So let's begin with procrastination. Procrastination is the most common manifestation of resistance because it's the easiest to rationalize. The most pernicious aspect of procrastination is that it can become a habit. We don't just put off our lives today, we put them off till our deathbed. This very moment can change our lives. This second, we can turn the tables on resistance. This second, we can sit down and do our work. Well, that's as self-explanatory as you can get. It underpins so much of my life and the things I've wanted to do. Take working out, for example. I know it will be good for me. I know that amazing high that comes from getting the heart rate going and pushing myself will be worth it. Yet I get to that hour, half hour, 10 minutes before I decided to work out, and I start rationalizing. Well, I should probably eat something before I work out. I don't want to crash midway through the workout. Or, I've read a lot about this idea of overtraining. I went pretty hard yesterday, so today will be an active rest day. Bullshit. It's resistance, and it's beating me. It is, as Pressfield puts it, the easiest to rationalize. Don't put off until tomorrow what you can accomplish today. Self-doubt can be an ally. It serves as an indicator of aspiration. It reflects love of something we dream of doing, and desire to do it. The counterfeit innovator is wildly self-confident. The real one is scared to death. Pressfield puts this so eloquently, and quite frankly, it's just very reassuring for me personally. It's quite obvious what he's saying. This type of self-doubt and uncertainty means you care. It was a big revelation to me in my career when I was able to spot false self-confidence, false bravado, especially in managers, because behind that false confidence and bravado, a lot of the time was someone who was actually kind of lost. And I've been there myself. We all have. There weren't these managers, they weren't authentic, and most people would say later on, yeah, that guy was full of shit. Then I think of some of the colleagues or leaders I've had who were vulnerable enough to admit their self-doubt, and they were the most impactful peers and leaders I've known because they didn't give you a reason to not believe them. So my last point on this one, I had a colleague who would get the gold medal for honesty and self-doubt. They would frequently ask me, "Tobias, am I a real salesperson? I'm not sure about hitting this quota." The individual I just described was by far and away the most liked and admired person within the sales department. Their self-doubt was a reflection of how much they gave a shit, and it was endearing to everyone around them, which built trust and friendship, and they continued to grow every day. A victim act is a form of passive aggression. It seeks to achieve gratification not by honest work or a contribution made out of one's experience or insight or love, but by the manipulation of others through silent and not so silent threat. The victim compels others to come to his rescue, or to behave as he wishes by holding them hostage to the prospect of his own further illness, meltdown, mental dissolution, or simply by threatening to make their lives so miserable that they do what he wants. Well, you can't put it much better than that. When I was laid off a couple weeks ago, I felt resistance, and this resistance was in the form of victimhood. I posted on LinkedIn about losing my position, and I think in a way I wanted to show strength in that time, resolve, but I know I was feeling some victimhood as well, and it's not good. I have no right to play the victim. I have no right to be resentful to my employer or resentful to the broader circumstances of the world. What happened happened. I had a colleague call me the day the layoff happened. She was so wonderful because she turned upside down what I was initially feeling. She explained how this was the opportunity to reinvent yourself, to take a breath and reset. And it helped me dash away those feelings of resistance. So my last point here. You can see victimhood used at the personal level and all the way to the broader societal macro level, used as a political weapon. So I would keep a close eye on any influencer, candidate, friend, colleague who use these tactics. Because as Pressfield states, it's a passive-aggressive weapon used to exert control, nothing more. Okay, that concludes part 1 of episode 1. Episode 2 is already up, and that's where we get into going pro, invoking the muse and reaching that higher purpose. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and subscribe or add some thoughts in the comments. My commitment to you is to continue to put out honest content. The more I can do that and engage with you all, the better the episodes are going to be, I hope. So thank you so much for watching.